Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. For the second time this week, I have to talk about Avatar. Avatar Fire and Ash is just an absolute trash fire. It's been a complete disaster. It is not going to perform with the same two movies. It has fallen so far behind. By percentage, according to the article we're about to explore, it's 40% down in ticket sales from the previous film. And it's almost hard to believe, but let's get to the numbers, because I think they're a little disturbing for Disney and for James Cameron. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, and I'm not kidding when I say this, YouTube is absolutely punishing this channel, so double check you're still subscribed to the channel. I've lost over 100 subscribers just in the last 48 hours, probably more as we're talking right now. And it's not because people are leaving voluntarily, it's because they are actually just having people leave, maybe because they haven't watched the material recently or any number of other reasons. But just do me a favor, double check you're still subscribed and hit that thumbs up button right now if you wouldn't mind. Speaking of things you wouldn't mind, well, I think you would mind the fact that about 4 hours of your life disappears when you go to see Avatar Fire and Ash. Why? The film is 3 hours and 17 minutes long, and that's without the previews, which are at least a half an hour in most theaters right now, including like a 6-minute Odyssey trailer, not to mention some really unimpressive footage that you're going to get from Avengers Doomsday. And Disney's desperation is really starting to reek. I mean, you can smell it from here. According to That Park Place, in an article from WDW Pro himself, the third Avatar is down nearly 40% in ticket sales versus Way of Water in their opening weekend. It's just opening weekend. We're just getting started, and these numbers are staggering. It could be the end of the Avatar franchise for a very long time to come. James Cameron's third film has landed at the box office and is down about 40% in attendance thus far. James Cameron's Avatar Fire and Ash launched with an estimated $345 million worldwide and $88 million domestic in its opening weekend, which is also a significant drop from the previous film. In fact, this is a major step down from Avatar: The Way of Water, which opened at roughly $441.7 million worldwide and $134.1 million domestic. In other words, it's down over $40 million. In headline terms, the third film arrived about $96.7 million lower globally, effectively almost $100 million off the prior installment's global debut. Even before you account for inflation and pricing dynamics, that can make the audience drop look even steeper. And I think it did. In fact, that pricing point matters because box office is not attendance. Those two things are entirely different. When it comes to attendance, things are looking bleak because, again, there is a differential in between the two prices from year to year, and ticket prices have gone up once again. Using the U.S. average ticket estimates right now as a proxy for tickets sold, the gap widens meaningfully. And using the numbers page, right now the average ticket price is at $10.53 in 2022 and $11.31 in 2025. When you look at the difference there, the 2-year difference, yeah, and I didn't even realize this was a 2-year gap. I thought we saw The Way of Water last year. Wow. Surprised me and maybe you as well. But frankly, this author, that would be Pro himself, believes that the numbers are significantly higher. And I agree, but let's work with what the numbers are. So this opening represents roughly 12.7 million tickets that were sold for The Way of Water's domestic opening weekend. And that, in comparison to now, was $134.1 million at $10.53. While Fire and Ash's domestic opening is about 7.8 million tickets. That's 5 million tickets difference, and it only came in at $88 million at $11.31. Again, when you look at it, it's nearly a 40% drop, and decent chance that it actually is representing a 40% drop, or maybe even steeper. I am going to agree with Pro. I think the difference in ticket prices has been a little bit more than is being talked about here, utilizing the numbers ticket estimates for prices right now. This same exercise used carefully also suggests that the global audience drop is more significant than the top line dollar comparison that implies. If you apply the same average ticket price figures as a roughly yardstick to the worldwide openings, The Way of Water's 441.7 million equates to about 41.9 million ticket equivalents, while Fire and Ash's 345 million equates to about 30.5 million. That's a decline of 11.4 million, or 27% in ticket sales alone, which is completely different than box office numbers. So the difference, about $100 million globally. And that shortfall says an awful lot about a franchise that has even less impact culturally than we even thought it did before. In fact, I've been saying it for years now. Nobody remembers any of the character names or basically any of these films. Once you've seen it, you forget it, which means it doesn't have impact in the cultural zeitgeist, which is a thing I've been talking about for 5, almost 6 years now. Critical Drinker was no lover of this film. Having seen it and watched his reviews, I have to tell you, this thing sounds like the dog's breakfast. And according to Drinker, anyone else disappointed by the lack of human diversity in Avatar? Why, there's barely a single non-white actor to be found in this aggressive, militaristic, expansionist colonist faction. I'm sure that's a total coincidence, though, and I'm sure this sarcasm is dripping right through the screen now. Of course, he's joshing around, but he's not wrong. This is being intentionally done to throw shade at just one race on our planet Earth, and let me tell you, it's not the Na'vi. In the numbers rankings of the biggest domestic weekends of 2025, the Fire and Ash film itself at 88 million sits at number 9 for the biggest weekends of the year. This was supposed to be the biggest film of the year. I think it's fallen a little bit short there. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. In fact, this is all I have to say for the rest of the video. I do not believe that this film is going to overperform any of the previous films, nor do I think that it'll even be competitive. I don't believe it's going to be the biggest film of the year. And I'm not going to say it won't make $1 billion, because I still kind of feel like it could. I'm just going to say this is going to fall very far short of the $2 billion that Disney and James Cameron were probably expecting. And I believe even China will leave them a little shorter than they think. What does that say for the future of the franchise and maybe the other 2, 3, 4 films that were planned, considered, being written? I don't think it says anything positive, and I don't think they're going to happen. But if you think differently, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And as you've said in the previous video that I've covered about this film, many of you enjoyed the film, but did you enjoy the 4 hours of your life you were robbed from? And do you believe it's worth the exchange at $11.50 cents? Doesn't look like it to me, but then again, I was never inspired to see the movie. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. For real. Just not at this movie.